How many times did you go back thinking maybe this time it would be different? How many times did you believe his tears, his stories about how much he was suffering, his promises to change? And then, it only took a few days, sometimes just hours, before he slipped back into the same old patterns. You saw it happen, again, and still, you stayed. Maybe out of fear, maybe guilt, maybe because a part of you kept hoping you could fix something that was broken from the start. And during those moments in between, when he was begging, saying he loved you, and then days later treating you like a mistake he regrets, who took care of you? Who dried your tears while you tried to hide the pain from your child? No one. Because from the outside, they all thought you chose this. But you know the truth. You just wanted to believe. You just wanted, even for a second, for him to be the person he swore he could become. You don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're not the woman you were 5 or 10 years ago. That version of you smiled more, felt free, had dreams. And somewhere along the way, one decision led you into a nightmare you never saw coming. He knows exactly where to hit. He doesn't yell. He plays the victim. He says you're cold, you don't understand him, you're always complaining. He suggests you're seeing someone else. He twists everything until you start doubting yourself. You start asking if maybe you're being too harsh. And the moment the crack appears, he walks in, with flowers, with soft words, with that familiar tone you once believed, and just like that, another chance, another attempt, another wound. If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle that's tearing you apart, stay with me. What you're about to hear might shift everything. Pity is dangerous. It disguises itself as compassion, but it's a cage. When you pity someone who's hurting you, you forget that your pain matters too, that your exhaustion is screaming for you to stop. And the narcissist knows this. They feed off of it. They don't want peace. They want control. Seeing you stay, after everything, fuels their ego. Watching you broken, still trying, still believing, that's power to them. How many sleepless nights have you spent thinking about yourself, your toxic partner, your child who's seen too much already? How often do you wonder how you got here, in a place where no one really understands you, where everyone seems to think you're the problem? He flips the story until everyone turns on you. And that's where Stoicism changes everything. It teaches you not to react out of pain, or guilt, or fear. It shows you that you can feel deeply and still not move. That you can have empathy and still say, enough. A Stoic isn't emotionless. They feel everything, but they no longer crawl. They no longer chase. They act with clarity, not from lack. And the moment you stop feeding the narcissist, healing begins. You're not heartless for ignoring his crocodile tears. You're not cruel for saying no to his emotional blackmail. You're aware. You've simply bled too much. And now, you've decided to heal. That's unbearable for him, because he doesn't know how to handle someone who won't react, who doesn't collapse into his drama, who doesn't beg him to stay. The Stoic stands firm, and that destroys his game. He'll try, he'll cry, he'll promise the world, he'll use the child, he'll weaponize your history, he'll exploit your guilt. But now you see it. You understand that love is not proven through humiliation, that compassion doesn't mean self-erasure, that pity doesn't save anyone. Stoicism gives you solid ground when everything is trying to pull you back down, and in the silence of your strength he realizes he lost access. Have you ever found yourself in this loop? Cried in silence, trying to save someone who only ever broke you? Tell your story. Write it in the comments. What was your turning point? What woke you up? Your voice might be the only light for someone still trapped in the dark, waiting for a sign. And maybe you are that sign. And when he realizes he can't reach you anymore, he'll escalate. He'll call you ungrateful, unfair. He'll say you ruined the family. He'll turn people against you. He'll make you out to be the villain. And you know what you'll do? Nothing. Because a Stoic doesn't argue with manipulation, doesn't explain herself, doesn't beg for understanding. She just moves on. How many times did you answer his calls even when your gut screamed not to? How many times did you open that door even though your body was begging you to stop? And still, you let him back in? Maybe for the child. Maybe because you felt sorry for him. Maybe because you wanted so badly to believe this time was different. But every time you gave him another chance, it was the same mask, the same pain. He knows exactly what works. He doesn't come in angry. He comes with tears, with sad eyes. Tells you he can't breathe without you. And you believe it, not because you're weak, but because you still feel. And that's the trap. Quiet, invisible, but powerful. Once he touches your pity, the door opens, and he walks back into your life, only to shatter it again. And the worst part? He never really changed. He just learned to play a different game, one that uses your feelings against you. Meanwhile, you're exhausted, empty, alone. He calms down when he gets control. You lose your peace trying to understand him. It was never equal. And the longer you stay, the more of yourself you lose. That's when Stoicism enters. Not as a philosophy, but as a shield, as a sharp blade that cuts through the chains of guilt and emotional dependence. The Stoic still feels, but she learns not to let those feelings make her decisions. She learns to stand, even when it hurts. And that's what you need now, because every reaction feeds him. Every reply, every callback, every pause in your boundary gives him one more chance to grab control, and he knows it. He doesn't want you out of love. He wants you because when he has you, he has power. And without you, he falls apart. But a Stoic cannot be controlled, and that ruins him. The first time you don't react, he'll rage. The silence will unnerve him. When you don't open the door, he'll use the kids. Emotional manipulation will take new forms. And that's where most women break, because the mother in you wants to protect. But who are you really protecting? The child? Or him from being alone? A Stoic asks, what purpose does this pain serve? And when you answer honestly, you'll see it doesn't serve you at all. It just keeps you stuck. It holds you back. It's destroying what's left of your strength. This isn't about being a hero. It's about surviving. About finally realizing that your worth isn't measured by how much you can suffer for someone else. This isn't over yet. Stay with me until the very last words, because what's coming next might be something no one ever told you, but everything you've been needing to hear. Yes, people will judge you. That's just how it is. They won't see the sleepless nights you spent crying while he lay next to you, undisturbed. They'll never know how many times he made you question your sanity, your worth. And you owe no one an explanation. A Stoic doesn't justify their pain. They turn it into power. It's okay to feel guilty. It's okay if it hurts, even though it was necessary. But going back, that's not okay. Running back into a burning house just because someone's crying on the doorstep doesn't make you brave. It makes you flammable. He doesn't destroy you all at once. He burns you slowly, until there's nothing left but ash. And the more you try to stand up for yourself, the more he twists it. He weaponizes your strength, calls you heartless, accuses you of breaking the family, betraying him. And in those moments, you doubt yourself. You start wondering, did I make a mistake? But deep down, you know you didn't. You finally chose yourself. You finally chose to live. Being Stoic doesn't mean you stopped loving. It means you learned that love without peace, without respect, isn't love. It's bondage. When you can sit with the pain and not feel the need to fix it, that's freedom. Not instantly, no, but step by conscious step. Every time you don't answer his message, every time you don't go back, every time you close the door, that's healing. He'll keep watching. He'll reach out. He'll try a new angle, a softer tone, a different mask. But you're not the same. You're not naive anymore. Not broken. You're a survivor. And you're building a new life. One without regret, without shame, without fear. A Stoic knows the real enemy isn't him. It's the part of you still trying to make excuses for him. And once you face that part, once you tell it no more, that's when real strength begins. Not the strength to fight, the strength to walk away, to stay gone, to not answer the phone. Yes, you might feel alone. Yes, it might hurt. But the pain of freedom is cleaner than the comfort of captivity. It's silent, honest, and one day, it fades. But that old life, it would have hollowed you out slowly, quietly, without mercy. Now you know better. You don't feel guilt, you feel truth. And truth isn't something that can be manipulated. A Stoic doesn't need to be understood. They need to be free. And that's where you are now, standing at the edge of your freedom. You might wonder why it still hurts even though you've left. Why his name still makes your stomach drop. Why memories still squeeze your chest. Because leaving physically isn't the same as being free emotionally. Real freedom comes when you stop taking responsibility for his pain. He convinced you he couldn't function without you, that you were the glue holding him together. But that was never your job. You're not his keeper, not his safety net, not his emotional crutch. And as long as you believe you are, part of you will always be trapped. Every time he comes back, it's calculated. It's not love. It's fear. Fear of losing control. That's what terrifies him. Not losing you, but losing the grip he had on you. He'll do anything to get back under your skin. And if you're still vulnerable to his manipulation, you might let him in. Not because you're weak, but because you still think there's something to save. But a Stoic doesn't try to save what isn't meant to be saved. They understand that some people don't want to change. They want you to change for them. And that, a Stoic refuses. They don't act from emotion. They act from calm. And calm comes when you no longer need to convince, explain, or apologize for having boundaries. He won't let go easily. Because when he loses you, he's forced to face himself. And he can't. So he'll try to remind you of everything you're losing. But that's a trick. You're not losing love. You're losing pain. That's all. You might think staying quiet makes it worse. That if you don't respond, something bad will happen. But a Stoic knows silence is not weakness. It's self-defense. It's the choice to stop playing a rigged game, to stop needing the last word, to choose peace over power struggles. There will be moments you want to reach out, when you wonder if maybe you overreacted, when doubt sneaks in. But those moments, they're traps. Every call, every reply, every step back is another thread tying you to someone who thrives on your unraveling. A Stoic remembers why they left and holds on to that truth, even when it hurts. Yes, you might miss him, even after everything. That's normal. The brain clings to the few good moments. But a Stoic knows the past isn't coming back, and that no version of this time it'll be different is real. He might change how he looks, how he speaks, how he moves, but at the core, he's still controlling, still hollow, still dangerous. Then, there are the kids. That's the part that breaks every mother. He'll use them. Say they miss you, that you're tearing the family apart. But a Stoic protects their children by protecting themselves. Kids don't need both parents if one is toxic. They need peace, stability, a parent who isn't surviving in chaos. And kids, they feel everything, even when no one's saying it. He'll accuse you of destroying the family. But a family isn't about shared walls. It's about safety, trust. Feeling like home isn't a war zone. And if that's missing, it's not a family, it's a trap. And you have every right to walk out of it. A Stoic isn't cold because they want to be strong. They're calm because they know their peace is sacred. That's why they don't answer, even when the phone rings all night. That's why they don't stay, even when promises are thrown around. Because promises mean nothing without actions. And his actions? They've spoken loud enough. Every morning, you choose. Go back to the old story, or write a new one. And that new story? It begins with a quiet no. No to the tears that lie. No to words that lost their meaning. No to the slow unraveling of your soul. Maybe the road will be long. Maybe it'll ache. But each day, the pain fades just a little more. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you don't need him anymore. His voice no longer moves you. His name no longer cuts you. And that will be your victory. Not loud, not dramatic, but yours. And in that quiet moment, you'll finally understand. Strength was never about fighting. It was about walking away. About choosing silence, choosing stability, choosing yourself without needing anyone's permission. A Stoic isn't someone without emotion. They're someone who stopped lying to themselves. Someone who stopped letting others define their worth. And you, right now, you are becoming that person. People will tell you you're strong, but they don't see how many mornings you had to force yourself out of bed. They don't hear the accusations, the yelling, or the silence that hurt even more. They don't know how many times you had to be the mother, the partner, the support, while feeling completely hollow inside. It's not the words that break you. It's the quiet, invisible wounds, the ones no one else sees. He knows you don't believe his words anymore, so he changes tactics. The sweet promises turn into guilt trips. He doesn't try to convince you he's changed. Instead, he blames you for changing. Suddenly, you're cold, distant, unloving, and you start asking yourself, am I really like that? Wasn't I softer once? A Stoic understands. Manipulation rarely comes in shouts. It comes in guilt, in the quiet belief that you owe someone something, and the narcissist thrives on that guilt. Every decision you make for yourself becomes a selfish act in his narrative. But you know now, protecting yourself isn't cruelty, it's survival. Your body speaks, even when your mouth doesn't. The fatigue, the insomnia, the sudden waves of panic, the crying for no reason. It's all your body saying, enough. But the mind argues, you can hold on a bit longer, for the kids, for the past, for hope. A Stoic listens to the body. When it screams, they stop ignoring. He'll try to make you believe that your silence is weakness, that setting boundaries is hostility. But the truth is the opposite. Boundaries aren't weapons, they're shields. They're the proof that you won't allow yourself to be diminished anymore. And silence, it's not cowardice. It's the loudest enough you'll ever speak. Your peace won't matter to those who can't profit from it. And that's okay. A Stoic isn't after applause. They're after balance, the kind they build within, brick by brick. Their calm isn't about public approval, but private clarity. Even if it hurts, even if it feels lonely, you will feel empty, because toxic love is addictive, and when it's gone, it leaves a void. But that space isn't punishment, it's possibility. It's where you'll rediscover yourself, not the version he molded, but the version that once stayed silent. People will ask why you left, why you ruined the relationship, but it was ruined long before, just not by you. It cracked every time he questioned your worth, every time his words made you doubt yourself. You didn't break the relationship, you buried it. It was already dead. And if you've made it this far, let yourself hear this. The answer you've been avoiding may be right here. Maybe this is the moment you take that step you've been afraid to take. When that realization hits, you'll stop feeling sorry, not for him, for yourself. You'll stop mourning a love that never really existed. You'll stop waiting for apologies that will never come. And you'll start building something real, something rooted in truth, not pain. The narcissist might never leave you alone completely, but every reaction you give is another open door. And every time you stay silent, create distance, take a step away, you're locking that door. He feels it, and so he'll press harder. But you're not the same anymore. You can't be controlled. Your children will see it. Not today, but one day. They'll see that you chose peace over chaos, that you had the courage to say, enough. And maybe someday, they'll thank you, because you showed them love isn't pain, that relationships aren't battlegrounds, and that their mother was never weak. A Stoic doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They know the right decision often hurts because it's right. They don't run from discomfort or from loneliness. They know that healing happens in silence, and in that silence, a new person begins to form. Someone who no longer leaves the door open for someone who only knows how to destroy. And maybe one day you'll whisper to yourself, I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel broken. I feel calm. And you'll know that's where you were always meant to be, with yourself. And in that peace, no one will convince you that your boundaries are the problem, because they aren't. They are your gift, your power, your voice. A voice that won't be silenced by someone else's tears, especially not from someone who never cried for you, only for themselves. He knows you better than anyone. Your fears, your need to be seen, to be loved, to be understood, and he will use it all against you. Not as an obvious attack, but like a trick, a slow bind you don't even feel until it's too late. And suddenly you're back where you swore you'd never return. He'll say he's changed, that therapy opened his eyes, that he finally understands. He might even describe your pain so accurately that you'll think, he really gets it this time. But be careful. He doesn't get it to heal you. He gets it to pull you back in. A narcissist's empathy isn't feeling, it's strategy. If guilt works, he'll keep using it, over and over, until your enough comes from deep inside. A Stoic would say, don't forget what broke you. Don't lose your memory when the tears come, because that's when your resolve is at its weakest. That's when you must stand firm, not for pride, but for your future, for the life you're building, one without pain as its foundation. He'll remind you of the good times, the laughs, the gifts, the inside jokes, the children. He'll play every emotional chord. But those fragments are just pretty pieces covering a wall of pain. A Stoic knows, one nice moment can't undo 1,000 cuts. Memories aren't contracts, and the past is never a reason to stay chained to suffering. You might ask, why am I still thinking about this if I've already left? Because trauma isn't a house you just walk out of. It's a house you dismantle, brick by brick. You take what belongs to you and leave behind what broke you. And yes, even leaving is a form of healing. He'll try to make you cry, not directly, but by collapsing, by playing the victim. And you'll feel your heart stir, because you're not heartless. But that's where your strength is, to feel, and still not go back. That's Stoic courage, not being numb, but refusing to be ruled by what once destroyed you. He'll accuse you of being cold. But where was his warmth when you cried yourself to sleep? When you were afraid to speak just to keep him from snapping? When you faded into someone you barely recognized? That's not love. That's control. And a Stoic knows, true compassion starts with yourself. The first time you don't respond, he'll feel shaken. When you don't call, he'll panic. When you stop watching his every move, he'll feel fear. Because finally, he feels the loss you've carried for years. And he doesn't know what to do with that. He knows how to beg, how to manipulate, how to scare, but he doesn't know how to accept no. He'll talk badly about you, paint himself as the wounded soul you betrayed, and some might believe him. But a Stoic doesn't chase external justice. They know the truth lives in action, not in stories. And those who truly know you need no proof. Your healing won't be dramatic. There won't be grand scenes or tearful apologies. It'll be quiet, subtle. A morning without tears. A day you don't check his social media. An evening where you read a book without thinking of him. That's where your power lies. A Stoic doesn't return to win. They don't say no out of anger. They walk away because there's nowhere left to go. Because where they were was pain. And the silence they now live in, even when it's still, is more valuable than any promise of change. And yes, life will test you. The past will echo. But now you're armed. With memory. With clarity. With strength. And above all, with a new standard. One where you alone decide what gets to stay in your life. He can knock all he wants, but the door you closed for your own dignity won't open again. Because it's not about who cries more or who begs harder. It's about who stands taller for themselves. And a Stoic stands. And every day you choose not to go back, you write a new chapter. One where you are no longer a character in his story, but the author of your own. One morning you wake up and there's no sadness, just quiet, but not the heavy kind of silence that used to crush you. This one feels lighter, softer, a new kind of quiet, the kind where for the first time you're not waiting, not for a message, not for footsteps, not for an apology, just peace. And you whisper to yourself, I'm okay. It won't be a big moment. There won't be fireworks or some dramatic revelation. It will arrive quietly, like the moment you stop needing to explain yourself. When you realize you no longer defend him, not even in your own thoughts, that you've stopped trying to figure out why he never changed, that you've stopped feeding the guilt, the longing, the memory loops. You're simply present, existing, and then it hits you. It wasn't him who changed. It was you. You're not the one who forgives out of fear anymore. Not the one who returns because it's familiar. Not the one clinging to the hope that loving harder could fix everything. You no longer dig through his words searching for truth, because now you know. The truth was always inside you. It was just silenced. A Stoic doesn't forget, but they stop holding on. They see the past clearly, but they don't let it steer the future. That's why they don't scroll through old messages anymore. That's why they don't answer those late night, I just wanted to hear your voice texts. Because everything they needed to hear is already within them. Maybe the narcissist will come back. Maybe he'll try one more time, with a different mask, a new version of the same story, a voice just soft enough to make you hesitate. But you're not a player in that game anymore. You don't sit at his table. You don't crave to win by his rules, because you've written your own. And that's the real shift. It's not that he lost his power, it's that you stopped giving it to him. You're not waiting for him to return something he never gave. You're not marking the days since the last contact. You're not wondering what might happen if you just gave him one more chance. You're not reaching for a way back, because there isn't one. Your mind begins to settle. Your body stops bracing for impact. The dreams of escape fade. The fear in his voice dissolves. And for the first time, you feel what freedom actually tastes like. Untethered, unconditional, no longer needing to be understood by someone who never wanted to understand. Maybe the pain still lingers, but it doesn't run the show anymore. It's not the kind of pain that makes your decisions for you, it's just there. And now you know how to carry it. Because being stoic doesn't mean you don't feel. It means pain isn't a reason to go back. There will be new mornings, new faces, new versions of yourself. And each one will be stronger than the last. Because you're no longer searching for your worth inside someone else's love. You've found it in yourself. And if someone shows up now, it won't be to complete you. It'll be because they want to walk beside you, not possess you. Stoicism doesn't harden you. It makes you whole. It teaches you to anchor yourself, to be your own safe place, your own home. And when that becomes your foundation, everything around you changes. You're not looking to be rescued anymore. You know now, the only person who can truly betray you is you. And you won't let that happen again. The child you used to be, the one who begged for love at any cost, would look at you now and be proud. Because you chose not to stay in the dark. Not because there wasn't room for you, but because you finally understand that you deserve the light. Even if it took a long time to get there, your silence now speaks for you. Your boundaries are your poetry. Your no is the purest act of self-love. And even if no one else sees the battles you fought, you do. You feel them. You carry them. And you're still standing. Whatever happens next, you're not going back. Because this isn't just the end of something. This is the beginning. The start of a life where you're no longer hostage to someone else's pain. The beginning of a self that isn't shaped by suffering. The beginning of a freedom that's quiet, but undeniable. You didn't break. You were reborn. And that kind of strength, no one can ever take that away from you.